the whole idea about the webinar today, it's really to give you an idea about what's involved in Italian language holiday. We operate about 35 Italian language holidays at Flavours every year. You can join us in Sicily, in Puglia, in Tuscany, in Umbria, in Venice. You can join us all over Italy on an Italian language holiday. And hopefully in the next 20 minutes or so, you'll get a much clearer idea of what's involved. Carlo, do you want to maybe just say hello and tell us a bit about yourself?
Ciao, Lorne. Ciao, everyone. It's so nice to see you all here. I come from Italy, of course. I've been teaching Italian for many, many years, 8 years with Flavours holidays, 8 wonderful years. And I've been teaching Italian, especially to British students. And yeah, so my style starts from theater, because actually I start teaching Italian in a theater context, and therefore I'm not a traditional textbook teacher. So in my courses you will never have a text, exercises to do, but my focus has always been on helping people actually use the language in real life. So whether that's chatting in a cafe, ordering food, or connecting with locals, this is what I do. So it's like creating situations, teaching situations and practical sentences to use in Italy and enjoy our holidays when we are in Italy.
Can I just maybe ask everybody watching just the first poll question for today? What best describes you today? Are you a total beginner in Italian? Do you know a few phrases? Are you an intermediate level or are you advanced speaker? And we can see that we've got a little bit of a mix. We've got just a couple of you are complete beginners. That's very exciting. A few know a few phrases, some intermediate, and we have got one advanced speaker. So Carlo, if you had a total beginner thinking about coming on a holiday, what would it be like on an Italian language holiday? Can you come as a total beginner?
Absolutely, yes. If you're a total beginner, don't worry at all. We start from the basics, but in a very relaxed and practical way. So you learn how to communicate from day one, and simple things like introducing yourself, ordering food, asking questions. And because you are surrounded by Italian all week, things get much easier, much faster. So all beginners are welcome. And I've had many beginners who at the end of the week felt very confident traveling for the next holiday.
And one of the questions actually we get asked a lot in the office is like, how do you manage? So if you've got, obviously, the guests are staying in a lovely private villa, you as a teacher, you're there with them, you've got a private chef making all your meals, and you've got a group of, say, 7 or 8 guests, and you've got maybe 1 or 2, a bit like what we've got just now watching us, 1 or 2 claiming they're total beginners. I suspect they maybe know a few things.
Yeah.
Equally, people who feel they're quite advanced. How do you manage to teach everybody?
Is that if there are the completely beginner, normally they have a private lessons separately, and then the improvers have another type of lesson. Of course, both groups, they can join the 2 lessons together because listening is also part of the process. But then during the week, there is a common theme. So we build a story as a group all together. So there are lots of chances to work together by using your own competencies. So you have a part of the lessons privately, and then the common theme is done all together. So normally the lessons are 2 hours in the morning, because the morning is when our brains are fresh. And so 1 hour is the private part, and the other hour is work all together, and let's build a story all together.
And then you have lunch, and in the afternoon, do you do more lessons in the afternoon?
The afternoon, yes. The afternoon, of course, is a chance to learn, but, oh, I'm sorry, my dog is barking. So you have chance to learn, but in a playful way, in an interactive way. So when I say playful, we literally play games. So it could be Scrabble in Italian or Guess Who. And so it's basically, as we prepare for aperitivo, we play games. And could be also a treasure hunt. And so we spent a couple of hours around the town, and we ended up in a cafe, of course, having drinks and chatting with the waiter. Yeah.
Right. And I think, I remember seeing a little video in the guests. It was like hot and cold, and they had to find something. And I remember seeing a video of one of the guests, one of the shopkeepers, and he was trying to help, going, this is hot, cold, and
Yeah, and hot and cold in Italian is fire and water.
that's right.
So fuoco, acqua. Yes, yeah. And so, of course, you have your holiday, you play always all together. So it's always a team thing, a team activity. And also actually having people who can speak Italian a bit better is a great advantage for the beginners because they are extremely encouraging. And the environment is always extremely relaxed as well because let's remember, this is a holiday. It's not the academy where we are learning. And so really people help each other and it's very interactive and encouraging from day one.
Great. Let's do a poll just now. So the next question we're going to ask is, how do you prefer to learn a language? So do you prefer to learn a language either, is it structured lessons that you like? Is it casual conversation, a mix of both, or do you want to be fully immersed? How do you like to, when you're learning languages, how do you like to do it? Structured, casual conversation, mix of both, or fully immersive? Yes. I always have to say how I learned Italian, and it was very much because I had to, because I was in Italy and I had to speak to people and make myself understood. And it's a great incentive, isn't it? When you have to learn a language, you got to be there and learn and make things happen, which is great. So the results of the survey are, it's a mixture of both. People are looking for a bit more structure, casual conversation, and to be fully immersive. Do you do any kind of formal, like, exercises, Carlo?
Okay, yeah, the guests ask for formal tests. Absolutely, we do it because the guests shape the program I already have at the beginning of the holiday. And normally we have it at the beginning and in the middle of the week. But this is entirely for the guests to understand where they are, where they want to get to, so they can know all the time about their improvements during the week. And actually, all the guests receive tasks to do during the week. And again, this is, I always say, this is not your homework. It's just to understand where you are. And when you feel these tasks, for example, a task could be order an ice cream or speak to a local and know as much as you can from them. They can give it back to me and I can assess, I can see where they are. So they constantly know what they're doing, okay? And a mix of both is what normally our guests look for. And that's actually what we do because you get a structure in the lesson, but then immediately you apply it in the real life situations. And so that combination is incredibly powerful because, as you said, you are immersed in Italy. So you have your lessons in the morning, you have your tasks written on a page, and then when we go out for the excursions, you use them and you speak all the time.
Yeah. And you also do, I've seen that with you on your excursions, even in the bus, you don't let them escape. You also have podcasts in Italian when they're driving somewhere on a visit, haven't you?
The bus is the perfect place for listening. Okay. And this is normally on the activity when we go out, when we are fresh, we listen to a podcast. And so the podcast is about a topic with a grammar hint. So normally this is the day activity when we have a day out, for example, in the big city with a lunch. When we come back in the afternoon, we can speak about the podcast.
And then you also do as well at the end of the week. There's always a sort of task at the end of the week. I remember getting in Puglia with you and I had to be in the audience or the jury, I think. You recreated a murder with the guest.
A murder, yeah. Or normally we do a play. If guests like, it's very interesting because at the beginning guests might say, no, I'm not a theater person, but at the end they all want to be there. During the week, we create this character. So I will give a character the first day. So we start writing the characteristic of my character, so who I am, and we introduce it as a monologue to the other guests. Then the guests interact between them and they do dialogues. And at the end of the week, we have a script and we can do the play. But this year, there might be something new.
I thought it was really clever of Carlo because all the guests, as he said, had a character. And it was a really clever way, I think, to use language and to give you great confidence. And it didn't really matter what level the guests were. They were all able to create a really interesting dialogue and feel really confident at the end. Certainly when we speak to people in the office, most guests are just worried about, they know they can read and they think they can understand, but it's the speaking, isn't it, Carlo?
Speaking, yes, speaking all the time, yes. So also, for example, a very good game for speaking is Gessu. So they have a name on their forehead. This encourages you to speak and only speak Italian, okay? And of course, there is me at the villa, but let's remember it's not only me. There is the chef, there are the drivers, the host. So you have plenty of chance to speak in Italian. And also, so far, all the chefs and hosts I've been working with, they're very happy to speak with guests. They can't wait to see guests who can speak Italian or want to practice Italian.
Question is, do you typically get married couples on these vacations or more solo or single travelers? I would say we generally get more solo travelers. Average group size, as I say, would be 7 to 9 guests. And normally quite a lot are traveling on their own. You might get maybe a mum and a daughter. You could get a couple, but as I say, just I think because it's maybe an activity, and very often if you were a married couple, perhaps the other partner isn't so interested in learning the language. We do have a non-participant discount, so we do get some couples coming where the wife or the husband does the activity and the other half just enjoys the visits and doesn't do the learning. So that's certainly an option. Can I just ask you, I think it's maybe our last poll. So this question is, what would hold you back from booking a language holiday? So what would hold you back from booking a language holiday? Is it the cost that you're worried about? Is it not feeling confident enough in your language level? Are you just not really sure what's involved, what it's really like? Are you worried about traveling solo? Are you concerned it might feel too much like school? And again, if any of you haven't traveled with Flavours before, the concept at Flavours is you stay in a private villa, private property. And again, sometimes it can be a real challenge to find a big property with 8, 9, 10 ensuite bedrooms, swimming pool, space, big kitchen. And very often they're not in the town, but we have this palazzo in Puglia that we found, and we're super excited because it's great. You walk out the door and you're in the town of Mali. And as Carlo alluded to, you can go out and about and have coffee, aperitivo all the time. It's really, really good. Yes. Carlo, is there anything you could reassure anybody if they're not feeling confident enough on their language level, apart from doing your online classes?
I can reassure you that the environment is absolutely relaxed, and I can gather for all levels. It's social, so everyone is going to help you. And I can assure you, so far, all the guests, they came at the beginning of the week and they were like, oh no, I'm not sure if I can do it. I will probably sit and look. I will be in a corner. At the end of the week, I was very happy to see them improve. Their level improved, and they wanted to book another holiday because they find it inspiring. And so they thought, oh, actually, I can do it and I can apply it to other aspects of my.
You're thinking about learning a language, and what's quite nice is actually it can be quite relaxing because rather than thinking about your sort of other things, you're just so busy focusing on learning and speaking, but it catches quite almost a bit of meditation, I think. If somebody says they're not really sure what the experience is like, I know in the office we sometimes get people looking for more of a structured language course. And I would always say, if you're looking for a sort of structured language course, then, we won't tick your box, but we would tick your box if you're looking for more of a language holiday to get a little bit of exposure, a little bit more confidence in speaking, but equally also have a holiday, bit of sightseeing, meeting other people, enjoying sort of good food and wine. I think that's definitely much more the emphasis for Flavours. Carlo has quite a following. I think I'm allowed to say that, Carlo. He does online classes with us every week, and then he does his group holidays, and yeah, he's got lots of people keep coming back. Do you need to buy any Italian books to bring on the holiday, Carlo? Question, I think.
No books. All the materials are provided by us, and Flavours will give you a notebook. This
Yes.
is what you only need. And also, you don't want to travel with heavy stuff, and you will find everything there at the villa once you arrive.
That's right. And you should have some magazines and newspapers, things like that as well, Italian for sort of reading.
Yes, I use magazines sometimes and the games. And yeah, and also the travel journeys I give. So every day, my students record what they've done, what they've eaten, what they've seen, and new grammar and vocabulary learned. But will be all at the villa already.
And another question, are the afternoon excursions more local to the area you're staying in or do you go further afield? Do you want to chat about maybe like where you normally go on excursions, Carlo?
Yes, so let's take as an example Puglia. So in the afternoon, the activities in the afternoon normally are maximum half an hour away. And we go in Puglia, there are two places, Otranto and Gallipoli. They are sea places. They are completely different. You get different experiences. And normally we go for a walk. We visit the main places and we have a drink, an aperitivo. But there is also the activity. There could be a wine tasting during the holiday as well. And yeah, they're pretty much local. And then we have 1 day activity, normally in a bigger city, a major city. For example, it could be Lecce for Puglia or Syracuse, and we have lunch there as well. So in Lecce, we go in a typical Italian place, so you eat typical food from...
If someone was to ask you, would put you on the spot, Carlo. So look, at Flavours, you can choose Sicily, you can choose Puglia, you can do Tuscany, you can do Umbria, you can do Bologna, and you can do Venice. Is there a certain type of person that goes to a different location, or have you got any recommendations or suggestions? Or
If you really like to interact with people, you want to speak, you want to do lots of activities, I would recommend Puglia because it's a palazzo at the center of the town. You literally have plenty of chance to communicate with people. If you're looking for something more relaxed with natural scenery, Tuscany has lots of nice villas. Actually, there are different parts of Tuscany. There are some villas nearer to the sea, some other villas near to the main towns. So yes, also Umbria is a very nice place for nature, enjoying nature.
it's quite interesting. Actually, the Umbria location, you're kind of on that kind of confine, you're on the border of Lazio, Tuscany, and Umbria.
Actually, yeah, you see 3 regions. Yeah.
We started Flavours when Flavours started 20 odd years ago. We started off in Lazio and we used to go to Lake Bolsena and Pitigliano and that area. So it's really nice actually that we're going back. Actually, it's a lovely location as well. Is there any other top tips you've got, Carlo? If there's somebody watching thinking, oh, I'm just not really sure about a language holiday. I think I'd like it, but I'm not sure. Any suggestions or top tips you'd have for them?
No, my only suggestion is just go travel. Okay. And yeah, if you really want to start a learning path, you can book the classes online before going on Flavours holidays. This, you will meet other guests who travel there, and so you can choose your level, and so this maybe might make you feel more sure. It's a very relaxed experience.
And another thing to say again, if anyone hasn't travelled with us before, is before the holiday, about 2 or 3 weeks before, you get invited onto a Zoom call where you meet everybody else on your week, including Carlo as well. And that gives Carlo a chance to meet everybody, work out all your different levels, and that helps him also prepare for the week. I think we have to tell everybody you are originally from Puglia.
Yeah, I was born in Puglia.
And
I lived in Milan as well, so south and north.
yeah, exactly. And what brought you to Edinburgh? Am I allowed to ask?
My sister used to live here, still lives here in Edinburgh. So it was just curiosity. As I said, I love theater, so I came to see the Fringe, the festival, as a tourist. Then I liked the city, and I said I will try next time to have only one-way ticket.
Mhm.
So I can leave the city when I'm tired. It's been 11 years.
You're very much Edinburgh. Scotland now, you're adopted.
Adapted, yes, exactly. I consider Edinburgh home.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Good. That's super. We've got a couple more questions actually. Can you give me some ideas of the pricing for language holiday? Yes, the prices are from 1,899 per person, and that includes your accommodation, all your meals, your lessons, your excursions. When you're out and about, any meals that you have as well. It just doesn't include your travel insurance, and it doesn't include your flights. But as I say, if you give us a call in the office and you let us know where you'd like to fly from, then the team in the office can recommend flights to meet. We do a complimentary group transfer from the airport. So again, give the team in the office a call because they know all the flights and they can help with that. And really, the only other extras, as I say, apart from the flights and travel insurance, is if you're buying yourself shoes and handbags and everything else is included. Do you ever recommend Duolingo?
Yes, Duolingo is good for building your vocabulary, so you can start from it. But for conversations, natural conversation, of course, the holidays. But I recommend a podcast online. It's called Coffee Break Italian. So they have different types of scenarios. It's led by a Scottish man who is from an Italian family, so he can speak Italian fluently. So yes, and also if you like reading the news, there is news in slow Italian.
Ah.
And this is very good because actually you can read the same types of news in English and in Italian. So you can be updated.
We could maybe send those links to people who'd be on the webinar as well. I'm sure they'd be interested in that. That's great. Super. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. Thank you very much, Carlo. Grazie.
Okay, thank you, Lord. Grazie.